Hey everyone, this is Taha, and in my last video, I shared the truth about how I went on from being a fitness enthusiast and a physique competitor to battling arthritis and beating cancer twice, and how it absolutely shredded everything I had or I thought I had. So today we're going all the way back from where it all had started, before the I lost everything phase. Um, there was this one particular moment where it felt like I had it all figured out. And I would like to talk about that a little bit before it all came crashing down. The year was 2016. I was absolutely at the top of my physical game. I had dedicated years to training, nutrition, and pushing my limits. It paid off. I won Mr. Karachi East, tons of validation. Feeling was everything. It was a proof that all the dedication, all the sacrifices I've had made were all worth it. My identity was so tied to being in that kind of a shape that nothing else made sense. I was living and breathing fitness and I was helping other people also do the same. I thought, this is it. I have reached the top. And I actually genuinely thought that I was the healthiest and the fittest, at least at my university. But life has a very funny way of humbling bragging, doesn't it? So soon after that, things started to feel off. My joints and my body started to ache a lot. There was this stiffness in my body that I just couldn't really explain. My neck would just not move properly. And I just brushed it all aside, thinking that, maybe it's just the side effect of working out too intensely, part of the grind. Then it started getting even more bad. I just couldn't even move my neck. I had to wear a collar for a while. It would hurt when I sat or when I stood for too long. I had gone to, I think, 5 different orthopedics in my town, and then came the diagnosis, arthritis. And I remember very well, I was in my university because I had to take a semester off, and I was there signing up some papers. And I was sitting there thinking that, I'm here at my peak physical fitness, celebrating all of my wins. But then suddenly my body started attacking itself, and it just didn't make any sense. It was so confusing, so frustrating, and it really shattered my confidence. That was the first curveball, okay? The actual devastating blow came in 2017. I remember I was walking with a couple of friends and I started experiencing some pain. So I stopped, went to the bathroom, and I stopped and checked. And I was just doing a physical exam because I'd seen a couple of movies. So I was like, okay, maybe, I should do that. I checked and my right testes was really swollen. At first, I thought maybe it's just like, some possible injury due to some heavy lifting, or I don't know, and that it would just like, go away on its own. I popped some painkillers and I was just on my way to recovery, or so I thought. You know how we desis do it? We self-treat ourselves. But the pain didn't go away, and after a few weeks, I went to the ER to get it checked, and the doctors completely dismissed it, saying that it was just a side effect of my strenuous workouts, and that I should wear a tight supporter, take some painkillers, and just relax, and that it should go away soon. So I was like, okay, cool, maybe it will go away this time. 2 months passed, and the pain only got worse, and the size of the testes grew even bigger, and it was very alarming for me. And I'll tell you why. So back in 2012, I was watching this movie called Not Suitable for Children, and the person, he also gets diagnosed with cancer in the movie, and then he's asked to go to a sperm bank to store his sperm, in case he wants to have kids later. So I had all of the visuals in my head somewhere, like, stored. When I realized that my testes was growing bigger and bigger, it was very alarming for me, and I wanted to do something about it. I just didn't want to sit and wait. And I knew something was off, so I started doing my own research. I went on Reddit to read what other people had to say, who were possibly experiencing the same kind of pain, and what they thoughts were, what they were doing about it, what sort of treatments they were resorting to. And after reading all of that, I realized that I need to go and get my ultrasound done, which I still hadn't done up until this point. So I started exploring places where I could go and get the ultrasound done. I remember it was July 2017, summer vacation. The university was off, but I was working at my university as an assistant gym instructor. So I would go there and not teach, but train. I would train the students, the staff, the faculty members over there. Anyway, one of those days, I told my manager that I'll be late, and I went to the hospital first. Now I'm there at the hospital waiting for my turn. the female nurses would come and ask me, "Oh, you want to get your testicles checked?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and they'd be like, "Okay." I don't know why it was so fascinating for them, but I think I had just become a test subject for them. Anyway, after waiting for an hour and a half, I was called in. Now, fast forward to when I'm inside. Now I'm just laying there all naked, and the radiologist is like, doing his stuff, and he seemed clearly freaked out, and I was freaking out because he was freaked out, and he started asking me questions like some really weird questions. And mind you, I was only 21 when it happened. So I was like, I don't know the fuck, dude. This guy is probably like, some crazy uncle who's just sitting there. The questions were like, do you have kids? And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, so you're not married? I'm like, no, what gave away that, I was married? And then he's like, okay, so do you have plans on getting married soon? I'm like, dude, listen, just tell me if there's something wrong before I even think about getting married or having kids. So could you please just? And he was like really freaked out. He was very concerned, and he was like looking at stuff. And I'm like, what do you see on the screen? Can you please just tell me at least like verbally? You don't have to show me, but just tell me. But he didn't answer those questions, and he went on like, so do you want to have kids? And at this point, I wanted to send him out and do my ultrasound myself. I honestly, I wished that I could, but yeah, actually, yeah. And then he started asking me about vitality, sex drive, libido, if I'm sexually active. To which I told him that, listen, I'm not really comfortable having this, chat with you. Could you please just tell me what's up so I can go and get a check from the actual doctor who's supposed to do this, because he was a he was just a radiologist. Then once we got done, he seemed clearly freaked out because he had not seen a kid my age, 21, getting diagnosed with cancer, or him diagnosing someone who was so young with cancer. So he immediately referred me to some urologist. I went and got it checked, and the urologist, he confirmed that it's most likely some form of tumor. Then the urologist asked me to get some tumor markers done, which I did, and then I went to the university. Like, everything was normal. Now I'm at the university, and I told one of my really good friends about what had just happened, because he was asking me what's up. The others weren't there, and we were a group of 4 or 5 people. Fast forward again, one of my friends from that group, he took me to his friend's mother's house, who was an oncologist, and to get a second opinion. She saw my reports and confirmed that it was indeed cancer. Now I remember I was just sitting there in her lounge, and just thinking about something, and her words just hung in the air. uh, Testicular cancer. And I was just thinking to myself, me, the fitness guy who had won a fitness competition last year, and who eats well, who exercises regularly, but he still got cancer? It still felt like a punch to my gut, something that I never saw coming. All the fear, the anger, the frustration, the disbelief, it just flooded over. Then I was just sitting there, and I remember on my way back as well, I was thinking, how could this be happening to me? And how could my body betray me like that? But then she said something that kind of stuck with me. Then she said, but the Taha, the good thing is there's a 99.9% chance of survival. And if you remove the tumor, then you'll essentially go back to life very quickly. And honestly, this was the hope that I desperately clung to. So, up until this point, my family, especially my mother, had no idea about what was happening. They knew that I was experiencing some kind of pain, but I had not explicitly told them that, it may or may not be something related to a tumor or cancer or anything. I told my mother and my family 2 nights before my surgery was scheduled. And I know, yes, you may be thinking, Taha, that sounds so stupid. Why did you not, lean in on your family for support? I have my own reasons, but I wanted to do this on my own. And I didn't want to share this with anyone whose opinions could cloud my judgment or my decision. Mostly because I knew what my family would do or say if I had told them earlier about this. Anyway, the treatment was kind of a blur. Doctors, surgeries, endless appointments. It took a very bad toll on me, which I never really, acknowledge back then. But I think more than the physical toll, the mental and emotional toll was even heavier. The uncertainty, the fear, the anger, the fear of it coming back, I think was massive. But this whole experience so far, it really changed me in ways I could never even comprehend. It was the first brush of mortality, and it was also a brutal wake up call for me. I realized that fitness and health and wellness was just not physical anymore. It was much more than that, and it was absolutely not about looking good anymore. It was more about feeling good. It was more about becoming healthy, truly understanding my body, and finding real evidence based solutions to what I was going through. And my why completely changed. You could say it completely transformed. And I think this is why I'm smiling, because I think that was the pivotal point for me that really pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me pursue health, fitness, and nutrition instead of computer science and communication and design from Habib University. And I think that's why I stopped being a fitness enthusiast and started becoming a coach that I am today. Because when I was going through what I was going through, there was not even a single person that could help me understand what I was going through, or could help me move through it. I had gained a lot of weight. My hormones were all over the place, and there was not a single person who would be a little empathetic and compassionate towards me, and I couldn't find anyone like that. So after that, I started amassing certifications from different places: nutrition, personal training, lifestyle, behavior coaching. My latest was L5 diploma in advanced nutrition science from Mac Nutrition Uni, MNU, from UK. My own body became sort of a classroom, and it taught me lessons that no textbook or a professor could ever teach me. You know, the first battle really taught me that true strength isn't just about how much you can lift, but how much you can endure, how much you can learn, and how you choose to rebuild your life when life throws you curveballs. It taught me the fragility of our health and the immense power of our mindset. And I think it was crucial, because otherwise I wouldn't have been here. I probably would have succumbed to one of these experiences, like many people do. That first experience was really life changing, yes, and I thought I was in the clear. I spent the next 7 years working out, getting certifications, understanding what happened to me. Truly, I couldn't really find a root cause for cancer, but I did find a passion for coaching and helping other people and empowering them. So I spent the next 7 years rebuilding a new life for me, empowering others, educating others about nutrition, fitness, and health and behavior. Also building several ventures, which again, some of them I had to shut, the others I'm still working on. And I also started building a new startup called Caloris. But while I was doing all of this, little did I know that the biggest of the blows were still ahead of me. In the next video, I'll take you through those years of rebuilding again, only to have it all crumble again with the second diagnosis of cancer just a year ago. If this deep dive into my first experience resonated with you, if you lived similar experiences or turning points in your life, please like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel. And tell me, what was the major turning point in your own life that really changed your life path? I'd be more than happy to hear from you.